Oh yes, back to the beacon. There's a few things going on just over there in the vale at the moment that I wanted to show you. Best viewpoint, obviously, let's get up there. It's early Saturday morning, and whilst I think I've beaten the tourists, I haven't beaten the dog walkers and the hikers. So there's going to be a few people around. Oh, here's some dog walkers now. The problem is I need a wee. Okay, it's actually looking pretty quiet up ahead. That's, you'll do. Whoa, that's better. I can't believe I didn't feel that pressing on my bladder before I left the house. Right, we're taking the long route up to the beacon today. Ivinghoe Beacon, my favourite little haunt. You can park on the other side by the road, and it's a very quick scoot up a very steep slope to the top. But I've been doing that one too often lately, you know, in a bid to get straight to the top. I'm not so bothered today. Let's take the long route because there's some lovely views. Look, absolutely beautiful. You don't get to see this if you ascend it from the road. Now granted, that bit ahead can be unpleasant, and I've not got my stick with me today because I'm carrying a tripod, but it's been dry as a bone lately. I've even got my sandals on. I've foregone my walking boots and put my sandals on, not just because of the weather, but got a bit of a dodgy ankle, and they're more comfortable. Not only sandals on, but hair down. Look, here's my sandals. With socks, because I'm sexy. I'm in full on Jesus mode today. Oh, bless you, my son. If you hear the occasional boom in the background, they're not shooting here. I can hear a bird scarer somewhere down there. It's one of those ones that builds up a charge of gas and then lets it off with a big pop. It doesn't really sound like a gun. You'll probably get to hear it because I've just heard it about 3 times in the last 5 minutes. That looks like they're growing wheat or barley down there. I don't know where the bird scarer might be. It was coming from that direction anyway. Now then, on my local travels recently, I've come across a couple of things going on down in the vale. Invasions, if you will. Come the sunny weather, inevitably, all of a sudden, in this beautiful landscape, you get all of the people coming in with their commercial interests. Now, there's a film being made just down the road, which I've driven past a million times recently. Quite an impressive film set, and I'm pretty sure we'll get a good view of it from the top of the beacon. Also, just at the bottom of the beacon, there's an electronic music festival going on, which is, yeah, we'll see how that looks. I know how they generally go. I'm not all that happy about it happening here. This isn't too bad actually. I'm early enough that it is pretty quiet. I've seen a few people up ahead at the top of the beacon already, but it wasn't hordes of people, just 1 or 2. So it might be quite nice up there at the moment. Later on in the day, at this time of year, on a day like this, it's like Piccadilly Circus up here, and the top of the downs as well. It just gets so busy. You're really best off going early in the morning. To be honest, even late in the evening. You get people hanging around wanting to watch the sunset. It's my sunset, bugger off. Final push to the top then. This is the last little really steep bit, although it's mercifully short. I seem to remember that track to the left is a bit easier than the one to the right. Although that's in the wet, and it's not wet today. It's absolutely fine. I'm just keeping an eye out to the north as I go up the hill, because I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain that at some point up this hill we're going to be able to see the film set tucked away just over there. Okay, best foot forward. Just coming up on the right hand side of the screen. There we go, see all those cranes and business going on down there? That's the film set. Right, now, it's quite a long way away, so that's why I've got my tripod. Let's get up the top. And we'll zoom in and see what we can see. Why, I might pick that up on the way out. I'll do it on the way out, just in case some other kind soul decides to do it for me. Ah, look who's here. Parascending, I think they call that. They do it over on Dunstable Downs, just across there all the time. There's a club, there's an official club who use that space. I didn't know they did it from here. We might get to see him going up in a second. Look at that, he's got a good thermal. Surely that's enough to lift him. Yeah, there he goes. Go on, try again. And we have liftoff. Not as easy as it looks, is it? You would have thought with the wind and the thermals he'd be straight up. But he's getting all his lines in place. Oh no. No, oh, go on, go on, go on. Oh. We'll come back to him in a second. He'll be off. Right. Let's show you what I came up here to show you. We've got the film set down there. We'll get set up on the tripod and zoom in on there. Really nice little film set actually. Looks quite impressive, although obviously I'm going to be heavily critical of it. Now also just down the bottom there, where are we? It's in Coombe Hole. Coombe Hole is just there. There's a festival going on. Alright, we'll come back to that. Let's get the tripod out. There, now that down there that you're looking at, that is Oz from the Wizard of Oz. I think it's where the were they the Munchkins? I think they were the Munchkins. Yeah, we're off to Munchkin Land. Yeah. That's where the Munchkins live. That's the little town. And this is a new spin-off of the Wizard of Oz, starring some silly bin called Adriana Grande or something along those lines. She's come over from America to do this new Wizard of Oz film. That's the village they've built. I've driven right past that a few times. The road just goes alongside there, and you can see all their cranes and their rigging and everything. Loads of security down there at the moment, which is unusual for Ivinghoe. Now I'm not quite sure exactly who this Ariana Grande, that's it, Ariana Grande. I'm not quite sure who she is. The only reason I know her name is because of some unfortunate events up north a few years ago. Well, she's back. Let's hope she doesn't bring that sort of misfortune with her again. Now, I was talking to somebody at a neighbouring farm down there during the week, and they told me that the landowner down there was paid £2.5 million to rent that field out to them for a year. £2.5 million. It's all right for some, isn't it? Now, I do wonder if Ariana Grande is her real name, because it sounds a bit showbiz, doesn't it? You know, Grande. It reminded me of a girl I went to school with called Faye Tozer. Now, that's a common as muck sounding name, isn't it? Whether you're from the south and you say Tozer, or or you're from the north and it's Tourze. You know, it's a pretty common rough and ready sounding name. Now, after we left school, this was my middle school. It was the old grammar school in Dunstable, Ashton Middle. When I left there, I was 12 or 13, and I went on to what we called at the time upper school. And a few years after we'd left there, I hadn't seen her in a long time, obviously, and I never really liked her. Well, I actually quite disliked her. But imagine my surprise a few years later when I was watching Top of the Pops, and there she was, fronting steps as Faye Tozier. Yeah, she wasn't Tozer anymore, she was suddenly Tozier. I could tell you a story or two about her, but I won't. So there you go, come summer, everybody wants a piece of my vale, a piece of my hills, want to come and make their money out of it. Well, okay, but I don't think it's really contributing to the local economy in any way, because it's just, you know, blacked out windowed armoured cars taking Hollywood superstars in and out with loads of security. I don't think they're really using the local Londis. There I can see our music festival. I'm not 100% sure that the actual festival itself is actually up and running yet, because I can't see much in the way of marquees and stuff. That lovely little wooded valley behind the cars there, that's Coombe Hole. That is a really beautiful, special little spot in this landscape where the hills meet the vale. It is just one of the best spots. You can't get in it as a member of the public. You can skirt around it on footpaths, but it is private land. And yeah, I have to admit, I'm slightly jealous that these people can just turn up and pay probably an extortionate amount for a ticket to go and desecrate the place. But it's called the Above and Below Festival. I had a quick look online, and obviously I've done all the usual greenwashing about how this is a nature supporting event, and come and see the natural beauty of the Chiltern Hills, blah blah blah, come and live with nature for the weekend. To be honest, all they're actually going to do down there is disrupt the local wildlife, make a load of noise and light pollution, leave a ton of litter, and probably defecate in my beautiful River Ousel. I know I keep saying that all this is mine. I know it's not, but it feels like it is, and I wish they weren't there. Fingers crossed, it's a half decent landowner, hopefully. You know, they might take measures to minimise the disruption to the wildlife, and I can't see it though, can you? He's doing a much better job than that poor bloke on the parasender. Let's get back up the top and see how he's doing. He's packed up and gone. Right, let's find a nice little spot to sit down on the southern side. I'll tell you what, set up camp on the side of the burial mound. They're all arriving now, you can probably hear them in the background. So I'm just going to sit down here on the side of the burial mound, out of the way, nice and quiet like. I'm going to eat some biscuits, drink a can of Jack Daniels and Coke. God, they're coming from all sides now. I'm going to be quick. Breakfast of kings. I'm guessing all you can hear is the wind, possibly. It'd be nice if you can hear it. I can hear skylarks down there. This is exactly their sort of habitat. See if I can scare the tourists. Do that up here at night when they're wild camping. Somebody's come to say hello. Oh, nearly fell off, mate. You're just trying to get away from me, aren't you? Right, look. These tiny little geraniums. They're wild geraniums, cranesbills. I don't think I've ever seen them quite so small. As you can see, it's getting busy now. So, goodbye yellow brick road. Let's take a walk back the way we came, back to the car park. Any view is doubly valuable because you can see a view walking from one direction and then you turn around and go back and you see the same view from the other direction and it's a whole new experience. Still there. Of course no one picked it up. Alright, fair enough. Take that home and stick it in the bin. I mean, what is the point? Look. What is the point? And that's a kid's one, isn't it? Mugu mugu. Stupid parents bring their idiot kids up here. Pitstone Windmill. We've been there as well. Very briefly, back with Twinkle. There's Pitstone Windmill. And of course more planes. I can't help it, every time I'm here I picture this as it was 12,000 years ago. Post-glacial flooding period when Britain, for a couple of thousand years, not a massive period of time, but you know, for a few thousand years, couple of thousand years, it was under glacial meltwater at the end of the last ice age. And that's when all of the oldest of the hilltop settlements, and the Icknield Way and the Ridgeway, which we're on, was really coming into its own as a regular thoroughfare and regular settlements for the people that walked over across Doggerland from mainland Europe. You know, I've struggled to find any official or accredited or accepted archaeological historical evidence that that was the case, and that's why this ridge of high land was inhabited and used as much as it was back then. But it's obvious to me, it's obvious. If you stand here and look, you can imagine that all of this lowland here out in the vale, that was a big inland sea, a lake, glacial meltwater. When those glaciers melted at the end of the ice age, it wasn't all a slow gradual process. It was in some places. It was a slow gradual process. But you need to bear in mind that as these glaciers melted, and they were miles deep, as they melted, they'd melt in different places and they'd hold vast bodies of water behind them. And then as the ice melted, that vast body of water would come crashing through the ice, and you did have floods, cataclysmic floods. And the land was buried for a couple of thousand years. So as people first started to come and inhabit the south of England, of course they were sticking to these chalky high ridges, and this is where their footpaths were. This is where their roots were. Originally, it's where they followed the migratory herds for their hunting. It was a temporary situation at that time, but then they actually started to settle at the top of these hills. And you can see why they did it here. That out there was a massive, great big sea of glacial meltwater, all the way to Northampton. And this would have been a coastline. It would have been a coastline, and they were trading. They had wooden boats, they were trading, they were travelling across this inland sea. The archaeological evidence does support that much. Items have been found in this area, in all these settlements, and along the Ridgeway and Nickneld Way that do suggest regular trade with the rest of the country that was of a higher enough elevation that it wasn't flooded, just like this place. It's slightly frustrating because there are lots of, not amateur, but you know, let's say these people aren't scientists, they're authors. There are lots of books about it. And to me, just looking at the landscape, and from a basic knowledge of the history and the geology and the weather and the conditions, I'd conclude the same as them. I just showed you a Pitstone windmill back there. It reminded me, in Ivinghoe village, Ivinghoe itself, I've never been there. I know where it is. I've driven past the little track that leads up to it. There's a, I think it's a fully restored. I think it's fully restored. I might be wrong. I think it is. There's a water mill down in Ivinghoe. It's not generally, it's not generally 7 days a week or anything open to the public, but they do have certain days where they're open to the public, as they do at Pitstone Windmill, which is working. Apparently they get it up and running. I'm going to have to look into that, have a quick look online, because both actually I'd like to see both of them. I've been around the windmill, I've not been in it. It'd be very interesting to see one or both of them actually working. Anyway, that's something to look into for a future video. I suspect that now the summer's coming, they're going to be open pretty soon. I think it's one Sunday a month in both cases, or something like that. Oh, look, I've taken a wrong turn. That's taking me back to the road. I don't want the road. No, I don't want the road. There we go, that's better. I'm on the right path now. Right then, the rest of today I'm going to go and plant out my sweet corn and butternut squashes and crown prince squashes on the allotment, and I'm not going to bore you with that. I've done far too many allotment videos lately, and they're limited scope, to be honest. So we'll do the next allotment update probably when I move the new hatching chicks, the newly hatched chicks, up to the chicken coop on the allotment. We'll do our next update then. But then next Tuesday is when those chicks are due to hatch. I've put them into lockdown. Not that lockdown. This is a different kind of lockdown, which just ups the humidity and prepares them for hatching. So they're set up ready. They should be hatching Tuesday or Wednesday. So they'll be my next videos. We'll go and see how they're doing on Tuesday. In fact, I might leave the camera with the kids because they're round at the incubator's round at my brother's. I might leave the camera here with probably Molly. She's probably least likely to break it. And then if they start hatching when I'm not there, they can get a little bit of footage for you. But then I'll be along after work to make you a lovely, interesting video. Okay, I'm nearly back to the car park. If I don't see you beforehand, I'll see you Tuesday. Take care. Jesus wept. That dog had one hell of a butthole. Here's a children's drink bottle for comparison. I won't be picking that up and taking it home.